My world shattered on a Tuesday. I still remember the sickly sweet smell of her perfume lingering in the hallway, the same one I'd bought her for our anniversary. I came home early, hoping to surprise Sarah with takeout from her favorite Thai place, but the surprise was on me. The house was too quiet. Utterly so. I called her name, and a muffled sound came from our bedroom. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat of dread. Pushing the door open, the scene that greeted me is seared into my memory forever. There she was, my wife, with him, my own brother, Mark. The betrayal was a physical blow, knocking the air from my lungs. They scrambled, pulling at sheets and clothes, their faces a mixture of shock and guilt. But there was no remorse in Sarah's eyes, just cold calculation. And Mark, my own flesh and blood, couldn't even look at me. The silence stretched, thick and suffocating, until I finally found my voice. It was a choked whisper, asking a question I already knew the answer to. How long? Sarah's response was a shrug, a casual flick of her wrist that dismissed our 10 years together. A while, she said, as if discussing the weather. That was the moment something inside me snapped. The love I'd felt turned to ice. I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I just turned around and walked out. I spent that night in a cheap motel, the silence amplifying the roaring in my head. They had taken everything from me, my wife, my brother, my trust in the world. They thought I would crumble, that I'd just disappear with my broken heart. They underestimated me. The next morning, I woke up with a chilling clarity. I wasn't going to be a victim. I was going to be the consequence. The first step was securing my assets. Sarah had always been more interested in the lifestyle I provided than in me. Our joint accounts, our investments. The house that was in my name before we even met, I started the process of disentangling everything. I hired the best lawyer I could find, a shark who smelled blood in the water. I documented everything, the texts I found later, the credit card statements for hotel rooms, the photos I took of them together in the following days, brazenly meeting up as if I didn't exist. They were sloppy, arrogant, and that was their biggest mistake. Meanwhile, Mark was calling me, leaving desperate voicemails. He was sorry, he said. It was a mistake, he said. He didn't want to lose his brother. I listened to each message, my resolve hardening with every pathetic excuse. My own brother, who I'd helped through college, who I'd co-signed a loan for to start his business. A business, I realized, that was now doing quite well. A business that our parents had also invested in, trusting my judgment. It was time for a family meeting. I called my parents and told them we needed to talk. I didn't give them details over the phone, just that it was urgent. When we all gathered at their house, the tension was palpable. Sarah and Mark were there, looking pale and nervous. They probably thought I was going to beg or plead. I let them squirm. Then, calmly and methodically, I laid it all out. I didn't raise my voice. I simply presented the facts, the timeline, the evidence. I played one of Mark's voicemails for everyone to hear. The silence that followed was deafening. My mother's gasp, my father's face turning a shade of purple I'd never seen before. He looked at Mark, his own son, with a look of utter disgust. The fallout was immediate and catastrophic for them. My parents, pillars of integrity in our community, were horrified. They had always valued family and loyalty above all else. They immediately pulled their investment from Mark's company. It was a significant blow, one that sent his business into a tailspin. He had used family trust to build his dream, and now that trust was gone. Kametome begging. But I just looked at him and said, "You made your choice. Now live with it." The look of dawning horror on his face was a small, cold comfort. For Sarah, the process was even more brutal. In court, my lawyer presented the irrefutable evidence of her infidelity. Her demands for alimony and half of my assets were laughed out of the courtroom. The prenuptial agreement we signed, which she had scoffed at years ago, held up perfectly. She walked away with what she came into the marriage with. Practically nothing. The beautiful house, the fancy cars, the country club membership all gone. I heard through a mutual friend that she had to move into a tiny apartment on the other side of town and get a job as a waitress. The queen had been dethroned. I sold the house. Too many ghosts. I packed up my life and moved to a new city. a fresh start. It wasn't easy. The pain of the betrayal lingered for a long time. Some nights, I'd lie awake, the images replaying in my mind. But with every passing day, the grip loosened. I focused on myself, on my work, on rebuilding my life from the ashes. I reconnected with old friends who had been pushed aside during my marriage. I found new hobbies. Slowly but surely, I started to heal. I learned that revenge isn't about causing pain. It's about taking back your power. It's about ensuring that those who tried to destroy you are forced to face the truth of who they are, stripped of all their lies and deceit. I don't know what happened to them in the long run, and honestly, I don't care to know. Their chapter in my life is closed. They built a relationship on a foundation of lies and betrayal, and like any structure built on weak ground, it was bound to collapse. My revenge wasn't a single, fiery act. It was a quiet, deliberate dismantling of the world they thought they had secured. I didn't lower myself to their level. I simply held up a mirror and made them look at their own reflections. And sometimes, the truth is the most brutal consequence of all. For anyone going through something similar, remember, your story isn't over. It's just beginning. Focus on your own worth, and let their karma handle the rest. Thanks for listening. If you liked this story, hit that subscribe button for more.